Thank you for your question. I do not have any formal powers to intervene in individual councils' plans for the provision of burial spaces, such as this particular case at Camberwell Old and New cemeteries. Clearly, boroughs must ensure they're sensitive to local circumstances, particularly when considering the reuse of existing burial spaces. In this particular case, I have been advised that Southwark Council's cemetery strategy was subject to public consultation. The proposals for Camberwell Old and New cemeteries have been granted planning permission and with the support of the Diocese of Southwark and the London Wildlife Trust. I've been informed that the proposal being implemented will not result in the reuse of any existing graves for burials, and the Council have agreed with the Commonwealth War Graves Commission and the Church of England that the war graves will not be disturbed and there will be no new burials on top of a war grave, including those which are currently unmarked. I'm also told that the plans will result in the removal of some trees. The Council have agreed to implement a number of measures to offset any impacts, including planting new trees and managing the cemeteries in a way which is consistent with their recognised importance for wildlife. I am aware that providing adequate burial spaces to meet the needs of all Londoners is an important matter for London boroughs to address, given the acute shortage of supply in the capital.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your answer. And I do appreciate you don't have any formal powers to intervene, and it's the remit of the boroughs to do this. But my question really deals with two issues. First of all, the trees in an area called the Glade, which is in Camberwell New Cemetery. Lovely area with a giant 60-foot poplar tree, 19 English oaks, and they're all under threat of being cut down. In fact, some of them have been started to have been cut down. I know you're a mayor who cares about trees. You say you want to plant 2 million trees in your 4-year term. You say that you want the green spaces in London to increase from 48% to 50% so that we can become a national park city. Do you think it's right or all right if trees, mature trees, are cut down in cemeteries and inner London to make way for a very, very small number of graves? And during nesting season as well?
Well, look, the short answer is I don't have the power to protect every tree. And so, you know...
I know, Mr. Mayor, you don't have that power, but I'm asking your personal opinion.
Of course I don't want trees cut down that are mature. I mean...
So do you consider this is a tragedy, really, that this glade, very lovely area is being cut down?
Well, I'm happy to go over the circumstances behind it and stuff, but of course I'm disappointed whenever there's a loss of mature trees. I mean, but the council have reassured us that what they're doing is implementing a number of measures to offset any impacts, including planting new trees and managing the cemeteries in a way which is consistent with their recognised importance for wildlife. Yeah.
With regard to the war graves, that's actually in Camberwell Old Cemetery, and there's an area where there are 48,000 people buried, quite, you know, one on top of the other, very, very densely buried, and in there somewhere are the graves of 48 First World War soldiers. Without their sacrifice, you and I and everyone here wouldn't be here today. I understand that over years, that area has been covered over with lots of metres of fly-tipped rubbish, and that was then trees grew on top of it. The trees have now been removed, I understand, by Southwark Council, and the plan is, I've heard, that they're going to crush the building rubble and make some new graves by mounding over the old graves. Now, I'm not sure how you can guarantee that those 48 graves of First World War soldiers will not be buried on top of. I can't personally see how that can happen. Will you write to Southwark Council to get some more detailed information about their plans, so that to be sure that they know the exact location of the graves, so that if they do mound over where they're buried, there will not be any burials on top of the specific locations where those soldiers are buried?
But, Chairman, I'm trying to be helpful. I've given the answer I've been given about the information I've been given by the Council. There's nothing stopping Assembly members, dare I say it, writing to Council leaders or Council themselves.
I have, Mr Mayor, I have.
You know, and so please feel free to let me see the response you get
that
from
would
them.
That would be great. Will you be able to... I know that you have a lot of letters to write, but this does involve London. It's not just an issue that involves Southwark. The London Local Authorities Act 2007, I believe, gives London boroughs, not anywhere else in the country, but the power to mound over existing graves which are 75 years old or more. I think people might be horrified to realise that any graves over 75 years old can be reused by mounding over, and from 2022 lifted and deepened, so that people can be buried deeper in the ground and you can reuse the graves.
Okay.
Do you think people would be horrified to learn that?
Thank you very much. I'm sure people will be horrified.